an injury to his left leg. He's been diagnosed with inflammation in his fibula. The Dockers say he'll miss games against Melbourne and Port Adelaide, but medical advice is the midfielder should be available for the finals. Fife is currently a $2.20 favourite for the Brownlow, with last year's winner Matt Priddis of West Coast on $3.80 and North Melbourne ruckman Todd Goldstein $5. Fife will have missed 4 games in 2015, all in the latter stages of the season, making for an exciting Brownlow medal count.
And FFA Cup holders Adelaide United have maintained their hopes of back-to-back titles with a dramatic extra-time win over Sydney at Hindmarsh Stadium. The Reds are into the quarterfinals alongside Perth Glory and Melbourne City after an action-packed finale in which Adelaide's Dylan McGowan was sent off late in extra time just moments after bagging a 114th minute winner. And now the 5AA forecast, a shower or two, a top of 15. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, 16, partly cloudy for Saturday, 15, and mostly sunny on Sunday, 17. And then a possible shower on Monday and a shower or two on Tuesday with temperatures in the mid to high teens. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Make the best ever move at Balmoral Retirement Village. 24/7 emergency call and security for extra peace of mind. This is Peter Godfrey.
It's 5 minutes past 5 now. Bit of a chilly morning. We haven't had one this cold for a while. 5 degrees. We did get down a bit lower, down to about 4 degrees about an hour or so ago, but it's starting to come up again. All right, we're going to head across the ditch to catch up with Selwyn Manning, editor of EveningReport.nz, and petrol prices is one of the topics we're going to be talking about. But just ahead of that, coincidentally, Glenn's on the line. You've spotted some more cheap petrol about, Glenn.
Yeah, well, I just came down from Craigmore. It's $1.27, $1.28 up there. I've just got it at the Welland Mogas, the cheap little one there on Grange Road, $1.16.
$1.16, okay.
That's a bit of a difference in your diesels down to $1.14.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're crazy to pay it up in the north, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Okay, Welland Mogas, Grange Road, $1.16.
Yeah, have a good day.
Good on you, Glenn. Thank you, mate.
See you, mate.
Bye-bye. Selwyn Manning with us, editor of EveningReport.nz. Well, $1.16, you're paying a lot more for that, aren't you, for your fuel, although it's coming down too?
Yeah, we're certainly paying a lot more, Peter, and even that, you know, when you consider the changes in the exchange rates and things like that, it's still really high. Now, petrol prices in New Zealand, they're dropping after global commodity prices obviously sank this week, and I guess that's what's pushing your guys' prices down at the moment as well. But prices in Auckland, they fell below, and check this out, Peter, this is in New Zealand dollars, of course, they fell below $1.90 per litre of 91 unleaded petrol. Now, that is the mark when Kiwis start to think, the petrol's getting cheap. So compared to you guys, we're certainly not getting cheap petrol. We're getting shortchanged in a way, aren't we?
Yeah, which I did a dollar conversion before, which works out about $1.73 in our dollars for a litre of your petrol at that $1.90. So even oh boy.
Yeah, as a comparison, just in, for those that are really good on their calculators or in their mind, New Zealand dollar, last night it was currently tracking the Aussie dollar at around about $1 for one New Zealand dollar was transferring across to 91 cents Aussie. If you look at it from the other way around of the equation, the Australian dollar, for one Australian dollar, you'll get around about $1.10 New Zealand dollars. So, what you were saying there, Peter, and doing that conversion rate, it's still very expensive, isn't it, over here? The Automobile Association, the AA, as we know it, it's predicted that the slump in global oil prices per barrel will cause prices here in New Zealand at the petrol pump to go down below $1.80 per litre of 91 unleaded petrol. Already this week, I noticed that there were starting to move down around the pumps around Auckland already, and Gull service stations, which has ownership overseas in Australia, I think, just by memory. In Auckland, it led the market down to around $1.86 per litre for 91 unleaded, but that bumped back up at Gull by the end of yesterday over around about the $90.93. Fairfax, they did their journalists went out and they checked out of service stations, and they found the cheapest around was the Z service stations, which in New Zealand own. It used to be the Shell service station.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they're offering for 91 octane around $1.82 to $1.83, and those mostly on the North Shore, and also one outlet in South Auckland. So the trends are going down, and it's certainly giving it a reprieve to Kiwis. But boy, Peter, compared to you over there in South Australia, anyway, in Adelaide, we're really traditionally got high prices, and I must say that these prices are standing out because usually 91 unleaded is well over the $2 mark.
That's amazing. I mean, we get $1.50, maybe touching on $1.60, and we think it's the end of the world. That's the top end of our scale. Is your prices, other than now, is it normally fairly stable, the pricing of petrol, or is it sort of fluctuate all over the place? Is it fairly volatile or stable?
It will sit, usually, it will sit for 91 unleaded around between $2.05 per litre down to around $2, $2.01.
Yeah,
and that's the competitive band. So anything under that $2 mark, Kiwi dollars we're talking, that is considered to be, okay, best to fill up the tank now. So they will swing in around that kind of thing. For the super petrol, the higher octane, like 98 octane, that will sit around $2. With these cheaper prices on the weekend, we're still paying $2.11 per litre for the 98 octane.
Yeah.
So that's very, very high. And that's even with, there's a new product out at the Gull service stations called Petroleum, which is topped up with...
I've heard about that.
Yeah, and it goes very well. But it's kind of expensive at the same time.
Okay, because it's the waste product from breweries, or the brewing process.
Dominion Breweries in Auckland. It's byproduct beer. So it's a clever marketing thing. The brew trolley.
Brew trolley. Yeah, it is very clever. Yeah.
And the cars go really well on it. There's actually they feel a bit more zippy, to be fair.
On that
stuff than they do the ordinary.
Bit like we do when we've had a couple of beers. We feel
but that's as long as you don't overdo it, perhaps. But look, the AA is making a big point of this at the moment. I've got to say, though, even though commodity prices and the oil prices were obviously down even more, traditionally low globally, I noticed that the petrol stations around, I'm talking Auckland here, started nudging back up, closer to the $2 mark as of last night.
Yeah.
So the low was yesterday morning, and then bang, 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 they'd gone up by around 10 cents per litre from the morning prices. So when you are asking about, the fluctuations and things, you can see how very quickly they can draw the customers into the station perhaps, and then bang, they go back up again later on. The other thing that we've been noticing is the prices generally around the Wednesday, Thursday and Friday morning are quite competitive, but as soon as, it's getting closer to the weekend, particularly if there's a bit of a long weekend showing, then bang, they can go up.
They go up. That's interesting. Yeah, we used to have a very consistent fuel cycle that sort of Tuesdays, maybe Wednesday would generally be when you get it cheaper, and it, progressively comes up from then, but it's not been like that for a few years, and it's you can't pick it. It'll be, up and down all over the place, almost random.
Now, of course, attached to this, this is pretty similar to the Australian market at the moment from what I can see, is, your dollar has been going down certainly since the collapse of the yuan and the Chinese dollar. So, the lower the dollar, obviously, the more you're having to pay for imported stuff, fuel. And New Zealand's dollar has been tracking downward. That's obviously, like we've talked at the beginning of the bulletin, New Zealand dollar is tracking lower than Australia, but it's kind of, they're very closely in tandem as far as the scale of drop there. So while we're paying perhaps more, we're also paying less because the oil commodity globally has been going right down. So in some ways, I think the petrol stations have been trying to actually manage and foresee where they're going. There does seem to be quite a lag, in a conservative one, where you can see the prices of crude going down significantly. There's too much of a lag in many people's minds before that's transferred to cheaper petrol at the pump. Now, as to why New Zealand's petrol prices at the pumps are so much higher than they are in South Australia, I can only guess, Peter. And it'll be interesting if someone had some answers to that, and certainly help out us as far as the point of view when we start arguing in this country about, why is it that when prices go down below $2 per litre for 91 octane that we start believing that it's cheap, when obviously it's not when you compare to you guys.
Yeah. An interesting thing, yesterday morning or the day before, I heard an economist here sort of talking about it and suggesting that there was the potential for crude to get down to, I think, something like about $30 a barrel. I think it's 38 at the moment. But he was sort of suggesting or prophesying perhaps that we could see petrol back down to sort of the dollar mark, which we had a little while ago. We, sort of went right back down there with even a few places sort of, 98, 99 cents, which was just terrific.
Wow.
Everyone was going out and, he's suggesting the potential was for us to get down that low again. So, yes.
Anything that our governors can actually do to assist in this thing is obviously it gives an injection of zest into the economy.
Exactly. What doesn't rely on fuel to get around?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very big issue here, on that crude side of things, there was an interesting thing on Bloomberg yesterday afternoon, New Zealand time, where they were saying in Argentina their own kind of their own drilling sector. That industry has a maximum cap and also a minimum cap. So while global crude has been going down, those local industry around Argentina are still getting traditionally high prices per barrel for their crude because the regulatory system they have there basically keeps the surplus when things are going well and then coughs it out to the industry when it's not. Okay. So the protections, I suppose, is what Bloomberg was finding fascinating in that sense. Part of the world. But the OPEC nations are certainly doing us all perhaps a favour, although it's very hard to fathom actually why, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, exactly right. Yeah, there's no consistency. All right, so we'll just have to have a quick break and we'll be right back with you talking, we're going to talk rugby again.
And
your
the
religion.
bizarre law that the government passed last night.
Yeah, no, this is interesting indeed. Be right back in a moment with you. Selwyn Manning's with us, editor of EveningReport.nz.
5AA's Trivia Challenge.
Good day. Quizmaster Will Goodings here. Are you South Australia's biggest quiz nut? Well, 5AA and Elite Betting want you to be part of our 5AA's Greatest Trivia Challenge. Tune in from 12 every day and I'll put you to the test to see how many questions you can answer in 1 minute. You could win $200 cold hard cash. All thanks to Elite Betting, South Road, Edwardstown. Save up to 50% on all stock while stocks last, and $13.95 Adelaide's 5AA.
Hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles. National Tiles is the only tile company in Australia that provides a lifetime guarantee on our entire range of European wall and floor tiles. Yes, that's right. All National Tiles European wall and floor tiles come with our exclusive lifetime guarantee. National Tiles, the guaranteed lowest prices matched with our exclusive lifetime guarantee. Go to nationaltiles.com.au now for details.
At Spine Care Chiropractic, we celebrate the benefits of a healthy spine. Every day, every moment, every second. So if you've been saying something needs to change, or your productivity is low, or you just can't kick those headaches, do something about it. Book a consultation now. Through a comprehensive movement analysis and nerve scan, we'll get to the core of what's holding you back and tailor your care to find the optimum you. For your nearest location, visit spinecarechiropractic.com.au.
Time for another top deal from Nordic Honda, top of Glen Osmond Road. Want a top moment in life? Well, how's this? For this month only, you can receive an amazing deal from Nordic Honda on any new Honda vehicle, plus a free $500 fuel card included. Top that, $500 fuel card free. Ask the Nordic Honda team about 5-year extended warranties on all new Hondas and drive away today.
Another top deal from the top of Glen Osmond Road. Nordic Honda.
Nordic Honda.
Bob, or Poppy Bob to his grandkids, is not a sports legend, but he is a star to his grandkids. So instead of letting osteoarthritis in his shoulder slow him down with chronic pain and restricted movement, he should ask his doctor for a referral to SportsMed SA. They know shoulders, knees and hips. They'll get you back to doing what you love.
Poppy Bob!
Ask your doctor for a referral to SportsMed SA with 7 convenient locations. Visit sportsmed.com.au.
Make the best ever move at Balmoral Retirement Village. 24/7 emergency call and security for extra peace of mind. This is Peter Godfrey.
And we're taking a look at things across the ditch. Selwyn Manning with us from EveningReport.nz. Selwyn, well, as we know, rugby is pretty much a religion in New Zealand. We've got the World Cup coming up fairly soon. What's this legislation that's been rushed through your Parliament in regard to that?
Yeah, it's certainly a religion until such time as the All Blacks lose their world championship status, and then it'll be exorcised from the culture, no doubt.
Or suddenly become rugby atheists.
Yeah, rugby atheists, or at least agnostic in certain parts of the country.
Yeah.
But rugby religion in New Zealand, an old saying here, and I guess it's so much so the politicians have forced legislation through Parliament so that the pubs and bars can stay open all night, Peter, during the Rugby World Cup tournament. Now, the World Cup tournament is going to be contested in England, kicks off around September 18, that's UK time, so around September 19, New Zealand, the date, and the Australian date, because of the timeline difference. The new law is designed to ensure rugby fans and punters will be able to drink and watch the Rugby World Cup games, irrespective of what time the games are going to be screened. Now, that is obviously, with it being up in the Northern Hemisphere and on the other side of the world, basically, the time is going to be in the middle of the night for New Zealand. Not so much for you guys, but certainly for here.
Yeah, more so here,
And the pubs have long lobbied the politicians to be able to be open right through, right up to like 9, 10 in the morning if they so choose to, right through the early hours of the morning and things like that. So a law was required to be passed through our Parliament to allow this to occur, and it did last night. And it was basically a conscience vote in some ways. 6 Labour MPs voted against it, the Green Party voted against it, and the Māori Party voted against it. Now, the Greens, I'll get into why they voted against it in a short time, but the New Zealand Herald's political editor, Audrey Young, she reports that there are some restrictions to the law, and just to touch on those, there must be no outdoor speakers, no discarding of empty bottles, and no use of outdoor courtyards. That's the garden bar kind of things, I suppose. The police, they've got to be alerted to the fact that the pubs and the bars, the clubs, etc., are going to be right through the night and into the early, into the morning and lunchtime if they so choose to. They've got to be given 7 days' notice of the intention there, and the premises have to have had their licence. Basically, they need a clean licence, one that hasn't been reprimanded. Now, those are the points. You can see they're pretty liberal there. Now, those 3 points will, that got the Green Party, in particular Kevin Haig, who's been speaking on this. And Kevin was a recent contender for the Green Party leadership here. He just missed out very narrowly to another. And but Kevin is saying here, Kevin Haig, he's saying that there's some discomfort, especially as the Parliament, in his view, was forcing a liberal booze law on local councils. And he's saying, that really the councils know their patch and that some bars are problematic. And that they should have the ability to restrict how long they're open for reasons that they would know best on. That's the kind of thing.
So
the other thing that Kevin Haig raised early in this debate, this is a couple of weeks ago, he is saying, really the Green Party, he says, we don't want bars and pubs to be basically open all night. The drinking goes right through 1 in the morning, right through 9 in the morning or 8 in the morning, where you've got punters spilling out onto the streets when they're near a kindergarten or school. He says it's just not right.
Yeah, fair point.
And, there's a point of common sense around that. But no, it wasn't going to be a part of it. Really, the backlash from the rugby community in New Zealand and all of those, who want to have the right to be able to have a drink while they watch the games that are being played, that put pressure on the Green Party to the point where the Greens kind of eased back from their stronger arguments against this bill. Anyway, at the end of the day, Peter, it looks like the politicians have found a remedy for hangovers. That's my line. And at least in delaying the inevitable, meaning, that they've found a way of basically keeping people topped up right through the night and right into the early morning and 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, midday, whatever. People will still be able to be sitting there boozing away in the pubs from the night before.
Okay, that's going to be interesting. So basically any licensed premises that's got a good track record meets those criteria could open, round the clock if they so chose. Yeah,
the only restrictions that came through from the Parliament last night is, like I was saying, they can't put up loudspeakers to broadcast the game out into
outdoors,
into the outdoors. Obviously, there'd be big problems if they started doing that. And that restriction about garden bars, I honestly don't know why that one kicked in there. Perhaps attached to the noise factor.
Yeah. Well, that was my thought when I saw that. So was this the hotels, the hotels themselves sort of lobbying for this, or was it just, the rugby fraternity? Or who sort of really pushed it to get the government to do this?
Yeah, so the hospitality industry, the hotel industry, that's where a lot of this came from, the right to be able to serve those who are wanting to be in that environment to watch the game. So that kind of liberal approach. The National Party picked up on it. That Nationals are in government here, of course, and they were pushing this bill through, but it was very significantly and very vocally advocated by the ACT Party, who has one MP and the leader of the ACT Party, young guy, David Seymour, and he was making out that this was a big win for New Zealanders and their freedom to be able to enjoy hospitality when they so choose. Now, there's been a push in recent years, particularly in Auckland, to try and actually restrict and regulate tighter in the areas of when bars, pubs, clubs can be open because of the violence on the streets, etc. And I think Sydney had the big problem, didn't it? With the King hits and things like that, and obviously other states and cities have had the same problems on perhaps a smaller scale than what Sydney had. But those regulations were obviously in New Zealand were looked at very closely to see whether or not that would have an effect on the violence and the unsavoury behaviours that were spilling out with extreme intoxication and evidence. And the police were saying, please tighten up on these kind of things. That 1 p.m. through to around about 1 a.m. around to 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning is an absolute nightmare for the frontline cops. And for people obviously trying to get around their legitimate kind of things at that time in the morning. Now, with this kind of thing, I guess the concerns are there that is this the beginning of a slide into, the awful excesses of liberalism relating to when you can go out for a drink. And why there are concerns around that is like, for example, when the Rugby World Cup was here in Auckland at Eden Park, there were certain liberal kind of things relating to, road closures and things like that were attached to what they called special events, meaning the Rugby World Cup. Well, a lot of Aucklanders that live around the Eden Park area get pretty hacked off in the wake of the Rugby World Cup having been off the patch, where it seems like the most small game is delegated into the status of lifted up into the status of a special event, and roads are closed and people can't park in their streets, etc., and people who are wanting to visit somebody, a friend, relative or whatever, can't park anywhere near the person's home. All of this kind of thing goes on. So the concerns are that this is the beginning of a slide into a problematic period of New Zealand, but let's wait and see.
Have to wait and see. Indeed, Selwyn. Many thanks for joining us on the program this morning. Have yourself a great week. We'll catch you again on Brekkie tomorrow morning too after 6:30, and we'll talk to you again same time next week.
Okay, Peter.
All the best. Thanks, Selwyn. Selwyn Manning, editor of EveningReport.nz.
When there are mice in Mount Osmond, rats in Ranella, wasps in Woodville and roaches in Ridleyton, it's time for Adams to go to work. Adams Pest Control are the family of experts with over 70 years' experience at locating and eradicating pests. Solid, reliable, always trusted, Adams Pest Control are there for you wherever you are around the Adelaide area. Write the number down, 82978 000, or see them online at adamspestcontrol.com.au. Adams Pest, Adelaide's best.
Walking to your morning coffee, taking a lunchtime stroll, running for the bus. How many steps did you take today? This September, every step you take can be in support of people living with cerebral palsy. Challenge yourself, your classmates or your co-workers to walk, run or roll your way to 10,000 steps a day for 1 month. Taking part is easy. Grab 3 friends, register online and get moving. Sign your team up for September. Get healthy and make a difference. Get started today at steptember.org.au.
We understand your home is your pride and joy. So when it comes to replacing your veranda or carport or re-roofing and re-guttering or an outdoor entertaining area or new deck, call someone who gets it. Traditional verandas